Okay. Hello, YouTube. I decided I had a 2 day break. I finally got my yarn needles and a couple things. So, anyways, I found my yarn glasses. This is the glasses I like to use when I do my yarn projects. I'm silly like that. But, anyways, I have these little boxes. I'm trying to get this. I'm doing this in my living room because the husband's home and he drives me crazy. So, I told him, I closed the door of the bedroom and told him to stay in there. He gets loud sometimes. So I'm hoping because I got all these different knitting needles, you can see it all. And my angle is right. Because I am like one of those spontaneous people, and I literally just get all excited and I just start yarning. Yeah, I'm weird like that. But anyways, I got all these. I'm gonna start my new project. See, this is perfect because you can see it here. I hope there's enough lighting. There should be. I don't know. Sometimes my eyes aren't the best. I know, but I love yarning. Anyways, I got this. I don't know if you can see on the screen. This is the size and these needles. I have a bunch of them. I lost the boxes to some of these. I'm not the most professional person in the world, but I get by in the world, so it has to be enough. These are 5.75 millimeters, 10 inches, and 25.4 centimeters. So, but I get some bigger ones. I started like prepping some of my other strings so you could see that, and I just like to get ideas. Like sometimes I just like to brainstorm when I do my yarning because I feel if you brainstorm before you yarn, it can make it fun. I mean, don't think of it as being bored or just some old people do. You could just get bored and just need to save a little money. Want to add accent to your curtains, and you don't want to pay $100 to do it. And you could create something fancy with yarn that they can make with anything else. So, but I've been on YouTube researching the slip knot theory, and this is the best way I have because I keep messing up with this a little at a time. But the best way I have found for this slip knot is I go this way with this end here, and it was this crazy method where for little kids where people were talking about alligators and method and stuff like that. So it was crazy. But anyways, it did this and she looped it like that. And it's been working out for me so far. And then you do this alligator thing. Or it could be a snake. And you go and I go behind here, just like that, and do that. This is how I learned to slip knot. I like the little snake method. I don't alligator just it seems more like a snake to me because you're sneaking from behind and then biting them. I don't know. It's just crazy yarn humor. But anyways, this is how I learned, and I swear the simplest thing in yarning took me 2 hours when I was just refreshing myself about a slip knot. It's crazy. Sometimes in the arts and crafts world, it's like this. And anyways, they have all this fancy ways they tell you about this piece here. This piece here really doesn't matter until you get your stitches set. I mean, people make this way more complicated than it needs to be. They really do. And this I make my slip knots extremely loose when I do that little snake method. And if you do it the wrong way, you'll know because it's going to fall right out and you just do the opposite. It's so easy. But they make it so complicated. Like you're delivering the Gettysburg Address. But like this, instead of holding this up while you're doing this, because it sometimes, depending if you just pulled a little bit too tight or whatever, it can mess up things. Just take this, just like this, and this is the end of the yarn that has the ball. Always take this as your control end, and you just gently push up. They don't say that in these videos either. I've noticed that. And then they do say to leave like this much, because you do need a little. I like to leave that much because I tried to do this what this other person said, and it was not working for me. I did not have a good knitting day when this happened. But what I'm going to do, which this end bothered me, get away from my yarn, Chong, is I'm going to snip this right here because you're going to get this confused with this end. They don't tell you that in these videos either. They just say watch your when I'm watching all these YouTubers, they just say watch how much your tightness and your grip. That's all they say. But they don't say how to keep it loose. And this is how I have kept it loose. And I was sitting here for a day. And you're supposed to take, and they always have this thing with your pointing finger going every which way. It's so easy. I just take it, I scoop it this way. So I go like this, and I go around here, and then I scoop up here, and then you go like that. So I just go here, scoop up. So you're going down and around, and then you're just picking it up right here. This literally is all it is. And everybody's making it so complicated. And I was ready to lose my mind. I really, really was. It was crazy. But anyways, see how I'm doing this? You take it, go up, in here, and and you're right here next to your knitting needle. Literally. I mean, you don't got to worry about control. And let's say, and check your how much room you have, because once you do transfer needles, right now is when you see if it's too tight or too loose. Because if you add more room now, you could tighten this up later. See, they don't mention this either. Because right now, you're just kind of like checking your engine. I like to keep wiggle room. Because I had to start over 5 times. And I'm not lying to you, about 5 times. So, and like I said, I just decided to do this, and then I grab it just here because you're creating a small vortex. That's it. And you got to keep these even. They got to stay the same. So you're creating a perfect sphere. Like it has to be here. Like you want this much grip. You just take this mathematically. Like this much grip between them two is perfect. Just you can't have it's impossible to have a row the way they have it. That's why the tension is getting tight. I have to fact check people, I guess, with things so I can understand. But this is how I understand it as a perfect sphere. And I go down and loop up. And then I can double check to make sure every stitch on this damn needle is perfect. See how my perfect loops are? This is how you do it. This is how I learned it, and for 2 days I've been trying to do it, and this is what I do. Because if I'm just not concentrating on doing 10 steps, I can make sure every stitch is perfectly aligned. Because if these are not perfectly aligned, you effed. So I'm literally just going down, under, and then right here, you don't have to worry about holding this or whatever. You're worrying about this string right here. That's it. Just this one little tiny lone string saying hello. Can you come pick me up? So that's all you're doing. And you're going under here and saying, yeah, I'll pick you up or bring you over to the store. And there you go. He brought him to the store so he can go grocery shopping. This is all you're doing, scooping up your friend. You're having a couple pops or alcoholic beverages, and you're scooping them up. This is how I think of this. You're just at a party, whatever. You're scooping up some stuff. Now you can't scoop up stuff from the store if you fall out, if you never make it to the store. So you're going up. So you're going down, around, and you got to go up and pick up that person. Think about picking them up with your car. It doesn't matter how you want to think of it. You're picking them up in your car. How are they going to get to your car if they're over here? You're here and they're there. So I just do that, pick them up in your car. And then you could do this the entire row. I honestly, this was so easy when I thought of it this way that I just kept going because most of your projects are honestly going to be longer projects. I started some curtains and I wanted them nice loose stitches and I wanted something that looked lacy. So that's why I thought of this blue because I was seeing how my knitting would look the looser it is. And I was going to put it on top of the drapes in my living room or something. So I'm practicing with this. But I'm keeping all of these stitches like this. And just staying just real nice like that. And then up and over. You're just picking your friends up, bring them to the store. I mean, the more you get involved and the more how they say scoop up, finger this way, it's just all the mechanics of it and what you want to do with it. I don't want it to be the tightest, but I want it to look like lace. So I want it nice and loose and decorative. So if you're going for a decorative approach, this is how you want to cast on, because you got all this wiggle room and you're not going to have one tight stitch. And I'll go through this, and I guess maybe this video could just be casting on, and we'll call this the fancy knit stitch. Like if you wanted to make something lacy. This is what we'll call it. And then I'll just stay on this until I'm completely done with all of this. But yeah, see how I'm just scooping up? I'm not even doing no special formula. My main focus is right here. I'm making sure all of these are the same size and I'm holding on to these. And I already know I got to scoop all the way up and make sure they're all the same size. And don't worry about if they're far away, this or that. Just hold them together. That's all you got to do. And scoop it up, and you got to make sure that stitch stays nice and loose for the lacy curtains. And we'll just scoop under like that. So you gotta make sure, see that one got a little tiny bit tight. We don't want that for lacy curtains. Because I mean, this is really was only my objective. So I figured why make my life more complicated? And you know what? If you don't want to go down and up, that's fine too. As long as you're scooping up. You're holding everything and making sure all these stay nice and loose. And if some are a little longer than the others, it's okay. It looks good with lacy curtains. So I like to do this because I like to come around and scoop up this way because I could find my way because these are such loose stitches you almost have to. So I'm just pulling out this. And there. And this. And you can go all the way down your needle. And it's nice because even if, because I mean, I used to knit years ago, but I was going by all the different methods and I didn't think I could knit. So I got bored and just started researching how to get my knitting skills up. And this is what I came up with. And honestly, it's not hard and it is very relaxing. You can use knitting just to like if you're going through hard times because it gets your mind off things. Because just playing with yarn, scooping it up, and thinking about what you're going to do to decorate your house is very relaxing. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I highly recommend it for people that have issues or if you're just bored. It's good for your brain. It really is. It makes you think. I mean, I literally just thought of this at the just my head, top of my head. Would you get away from my yarn? Go. And I tell you, animals love it. And then just because you think you got a dog and they're not a cat, the dogs love it too. He steals my yarn all the time. He drives me nuts. I have a cage just for my arts and crafts. I kid you not. I literally keep everything in this cage. And this is what I do. I gotta hide all my art supplies because of my friendly dog. Because he loves it. He's worse than a cat. When he gets mad at me, he'll take a new ball of yarn, not even hurt it, just carry it in his mouth and look at me like I'm crazy. Well, see, that's what I'm doing. And it's so easy. And you'll see the next one. I will stay with you this whole thing. And this one's probably taking about an hour, but once you cast off to the other, it can't get complicated. And if somebody's not with you on this step, it could take you a minute. I was so frustrated. I just was going around YouTube like, oh my god. I mean, they go by a couple steps, but who wants to just do one or two? You want to start a curtain eventually. And at least a mini curtain for a dollhouse or something. So I just figured I'd make it easier for you guys. Just cast on here, and I'm just scooping up. That's all I do. And really, if you think of yarning in basic terms, it's so easy. Is that everybody makes it more complicated than it needs to be. I haven't researched the pearl stitch yet, but now that I got this fancy stitch down pat, I'm probably in my spare time gonna study a easier way to explain a pearl stitch. It doesn't look too complicated. They just have a lot of loops and a lot of complicated steps. So probably three of them could be eliminated. They always put all these unnecessary steps that I don't feel should be included in knitting. I don't feel it's very efficient. And I believe that knitting should be something that you can make usable things. And I think, if you go into Walmart and you get a $10 thing of curtains and you just need a pullover or something to make it look a little fancy, it shouldn't be 30, $40. I just, I don't, I don't believe all that. So I try to find ways of doing things that benefit me better. And I think this would benefit a lot of people. Well, see, you gotta keep they'll try to tighten up on you, but you gotta keep all of these loose. And all I'm doing is scooping up. Because this is one of your most important steps, if you think about it. This itself is setting the whole foundation for your project. How thick it is, how big you want. I mean, this is going to be the width of your project. And you can always, I'm going to yarn embroider a lot of these and show you how to do the yarn knitting with this, because you don't need to cast off with this. You don't at all. You're going to sew a lot of this. All that stuff for casting off, I am going to learn a proficient way of casting off, but you don't need to with making these curtains. Not at all. You really don't. You could keep them on the needle, and while they're on the needle and you yarned it down, which I'll show you, as you're yarning these down, you could take the other yarns and you're sewing them together. So you don't have to worry about that, because I mean, everybody has a yarn blanket, in my opinion. I know 100 million people with crocheted blankets. They're beautiful. I'm not trying to say anything against anybody. They're wonderful. But there's more to yarn than blankets and scarves and things of that nature. You can have curtains, you can have coasters, and sometimes they can look really pretty. And I don't think people see that, and yarn is just so cheap. And I'm just not out to give my money out to just anybody for stuff I really am not even sure I like. I like my quality. Sometimes I don't feel I get my quality. So instead of beating the system and joining them, I just don't. And I just I figure out ways of doing things all by myself without them. But see, this here, I'm filling this whole needle up because honestly, if you're doing this system where you're just wrapping around and scooping and getting your first row set, you want it kind of to come down long so it can spread out. And you can always stitch them together, because after this you'll be, and this is completely done and draped down, you could stitch this together while it's still on the stick. That's some of the beauty of this. People don't realize you could do that. So a lot of this, we're sewing this on the stick. We're just making sure that when this is being draped down before you sew it, it's going to be nice. That's why I'm leaving plenty of room, because the yarn embroidery is going to be involved in these curtains. It has to be. It really does. And you can always transfer the needle for maybe a long stick. Obviously, you're not going to give up your knitting needle. You would be crazy to give up your knitting needle. I had my brother go to the store and he paid $35 and he got me a bunch of them, but you're going to need them for, like, I have other projects I was prepping yesterday to practice for the stream. So, now you got this here. And I got my own way of, like, when it gets transferred over, that's much easier to deal with than there are 100 steps. I get it. They are very talented people. Don't get me wrong with the yarn YouTubers. I did learn about them, but I had to think about it a minute. And I feel if you got to think about something too much, it might not be as fun. So I'm trying to bring yard fun to yard. Now this, you taking this here. You want these to hang nice. This is always hanging down. Don't hang them to the side. You want all these to always go down because you got to keep track of all these guys. This is like going to a party and people going in your house, using your bathroom and everything. And you got to make sure that people aren't doing number two and leaving it nasty. This is how I feel and think about these kind of things. All right, you put this needle under the first stitch like that. See this? This goes under your very first stitch. And then you're just taking this here and you're going over and around. And then you're taking this guy and moving him under and scooping it off. And there's your first stitch. This is literally all you do. And I'm doing that, just pull up your next stitch with this, with your thumb, finger and thumb. Bring up one stitch. And then you do the same. And then you come around, go over, and just scoop up. See, it's coming in here. And these needles my brother gave me are nice because it has this here, which is nice. If you have needles that don't have this, but this method might be hard because this is holding these down. And that's why these projects can be done on these needles. I just wanted to say that it felt important. All right, I'm going to take this. I'm going under because you're always scooping these guys up to take them home or take them to the store or whatever. And you're going down and under. So here we go like that. Over, down, and under. All right. See, and then sometimes it gets a little complicated because you get a couple, but you get a lot. So you bring one up, do the same thing, and you're creating your own stitch. You're giving them stability in a home here and creating another stitch to get them out of there. And then you're going to do that to the next one. And it's such a loose stitch because this would go over like your drapes or something. It's not, it's only decorative. It's only literally meant to be decorative. So you don't have to go crazy with it. If you miss one thing, it's not the end of the world. But I'll show you how it looks really pretty and lacy. But we're going to go through the whole project together. I just feel like that would be better. Because sometimes yarn people leave you. And then you get stuck and you don't know. And then you get sad. I mean, the yarn people were lovely, but I thought they left too soon. And I wish they were there so I can keep seeing them do it. But I mean, it was what it was. All right, and that's what I'm doing. It's just scooping, and it'll seem like when you're going through this, I was like, man, I really suck at this. But when I realized when I went through it, I was like, oh, this is kind of nice. But you're manually pushing a lot of this up with your fingers. And if it comes off real loose, that's okay. That's how we want this. But wrap around and then just scoop. And if it adds more looseness to your yarn, that's okay. That's what we want. All right, we're going and then you just take another, you're just taking strings, wrapping over, and coming around. You're just taking one concept and just keeps going with it. But just you can't. I mean, if it gets a little tight, it's fine, but it has to look loose. If you're making it way too tight, you're kind of you got to start over. I'm sorry, but I guess I had to start over 5 times. That's why I'm making sure this is more loose than tight. I would rather have it loose and do this than have it too tight because that was my biggest mistake. because that was where I was messing up with the other yarn YouTubers that I was watching. That was giving me very wonderful ideas. Wonderful. But I had to piece things together, and that's okay because you're going to find your own way. You really will. Just because I watch them doesn't mean I learned literally from them. I got an idea from them and I had to practice. And I like to practice this kind of stuff off and on. This kind of stuff kind of helps me a little, I guess you could say. Under here now. I mean, I when I was doing this, I really didn't even think I was doing anything good at first. I thought that I really was stinking it up, but I really wasn't. I actually was doing a decent job, so it just turned out to be a whole new different stitch. And sometimes that happens. But your whole goal is, even if you have to take two stitches and like I got to take both of these stitches, is I don't know what happened here, but that's okay. You got to scoop up all the yarn and bring it over. If in one spot it's two and another spot it's one, and that's okay. It just has to get off this needle, and it doesn't have to be with just one. That's because you want to give the kind of diversity to this style of stitching. And I was sat there and said, man, that'd be a damn good curtain accent. And I started one, and it's looking nice. So I decided it was going to work on a bigger one on stream. Because I know that last time I did my yarn work, people did like it. So, and you're just pulling this under and scooping. And I'm going to pull all those out and take that one, do the same. And to all the new people that came in the stream, I'm working on being more interactive. I'm making a yarn curtain accent. Like I'm doing a lacy stitch to make your yarn look lacy. And I ended up with the slip knot and everything, and I went through that because this is a live taping. So it's really kind of hard for me to go backwards. So if you missed a step or whatever, because my phone isn't the greatest, so I do live tapings of my projects because phones are expensive these days. But after the video gets posted, you can like see the first step if you missed it, because a couple people were telling me that when they go to get my videos that sometimes they don't get the notification for an hour, but it's okay because I'm kind of making this because I don't have a good enough phone to tape for an hour. I don't have enough storage for that at all. That's the problem. I mean, I'm trying to survive out here on YouTube. See, I just grabbed two on there, but I'm just casting on this other needle with this. And I'm doing a simple knit stitch, but I made it super loose for the lace effect. But these are live tapings because my phone is horrible. So I'm just letting you guys know. So it's hard for me to go in reverse, I guess, per se, because I can't just keep showing it because then it's my live taping. Alright, so that one I grabbed two in one, but see, all you do is you can put it back and do that too. And then you just keep doing this. There's no wrong way of doing this stitch. There really isn't, but for some reason it really looks pretty in the end. I mean, it goes on kinds of different crazy ways and it looks crazy, but it actually looks nice in the end. And I have a sample because I'm working on another one. So once I get a couple rows of this done, I'll show you the sample, the one I was doing yesterday, because I wanted a sample to show you guys. But I'm still going to go on with this one, making this blue curtain accent. I mean, I just was sitting there just playing around with my yarn like I always do. And I try to find a different way of doing things. I always do. And this is what I came up with. I mean, it's unorthodox a lot. So yeah, I just take one or two strings, whatever I can string here, and just pull it over. And the good thing about it is I don't know, I just feel it's better. It's so chaotic, but it turns out so nice, the stitch. It has a symmetry of its own. I mean, sometimes two strings come and make it nicer. Sometimes it's one. Sometimes I've learned with yarn, it's like the universe. There's a symmetry to it. Sometimes you can repair it by just bringing one over. Sometimes two. But it does have its own rhyme and reason. But I just bring over what I can if I can get a loop. Because it's okay, you're going to want this to be real loose, and that's what gives it the lacy look. And it reminds me of just a really pretty lace curtain. And lace is expensive. To get the intricate details and order in a real laced curtain, you're looking sometimes $100. They get paid, trust me. So, but this anybody can afford. And actually, I think that it's nicer. And I mean, lace curtains are gorgeous, yes, but this is really pretty too. I think even people that have lace curtains would want this. I mean, that's just my opinion of it all. So you just pull under, scoop, and you're just going under, wrap it in here, and we're getting close to here. And we're going under. But these tapings are getting better. I mean, now that I'm learning, I think you guys like the yarning better, but I still want to do a taping of finishing that book because it was getting really interesting because Marilyn Monroe's getting involved now. And I really am a fan of Marilyn Monroe, so I kind of want to do the book. Kind of when I'm done out of here, probably get me a food break. And then I want to finish that because Marilyn Monroe, she's like one of my favorites. I really like her. She has such a very symmetric story with the universe. She's so beautiful but so troubled at the same time. There's just something about Marilyn Monroe that kind of makes me feel for her, I guess. I don't know, it sounds very silly. But like I said, you could be talking and I'm literally just going under and scooping. But I'm staying with you through this whole entire step. I'm not going to be one of those yarn people that leave you. And I'm just pulling it, and you can see how it looks messy, even for somebody that's done this 5 times in a row until I got my practice. It's every piece that is different. Every piece behaves in a different manner. That's just what yarn it does. It has its own mind. And even if you accidentally bring one over and don't loop it through, it's okay with this method because This is kind of meant to be loose and messy, but it looks really pretty and lacy. I like to think like in simple terms. And you're constantly, just make sure you have enough yarn this way. I like to keep my ball of yarn kind of like right next to me because you're constantly going over and scooping under, going over, wrapping, and pulling out. That's it. You're going under, wrapping over, and just pulling out. That's all you're doing. It's once you do this a couple times, it's not that bad. It really isn't. But like I said, I'll just probably this piece I'll be featuring, and then I'll work on my other projects, kind of not streaming to show you like what happens later, but we're still gonna go through this piece by piece. This curtain, this blue curtain is gonna be what I do with you guys. And the ones I do on my own, I'm gonna have like first. I like to have separate pieces sometimes. All right, see here, it's like a little tangled, so you just gotta think about where you're going. Okay, I could grab this here. I'm gonna take that here, and you gotta be real careful with this now. Don't try to pull too much. I had problems with that. That's why you want to. I like metal ones. I would suggest metal. I like how they slide in and out. I don't feel the plastic ones are as good as metal. Because with me, the texture is much smoother. And I can get this done. And I'm doing one or two at a time. It depends. Like if I can grab one with two, that's what I'm doing. If I can grab just one, that's fine too. See, that one fell off, but that's alright because it's going to give me a little leverage here. So don't get too tight. If you miss on one, your tension gets less. So sometimes missing one stitch isn't the end of the world. Sometimes it helps your work. Let's put it that way, because I had one that was super tight, and I had to start all the way over, and I was like, not trying to have that happen again. Go like this, and then now this is not like a majority of this. It's a little tight, but I'm gonna start doing this. And then I'm just going to push this over so I have plenty of wiggle room again to give me leverage again. And then pull this in. And then pull this under these two. You know what I mean? Sometimes, and then I'm going to go in between here. Sometimes if you go in between the stitch, it gives it like a different shape. You're just literally shaping your yarn. You're the master of this yarn universe, of a crazy mess. And just think there's this crazy black hole around. So that would be fun. Just think of the crazy black hole. It's around and you're trying to get some stuff done. See, this stitch, letting that stitch go gave me this right here to work with. Because that's all you're doing. And then you're wrapping this around here and you're creating your own fragment in time. See, this could be very space-like. It can make the yarn could be fun at any level. Like that. And over around this way. And out here. And going under, over. You just gotta go over, under, and scoop out as much as you can until you get it out. And then you go over, under, and scoop out. You just get it off. At this point, it doesn't matter if you're doing 2 or 1. Just make sure that it's not getting too tight. I'm sliding down a little. Metal's so much easier to deal with that. Oh boy, is it easier. And I'm going to let that go because this is getting tight on this one. Alright, we're just going to let that go just like that. That's our tail of something. Yeah, that's the tail of that. So we're letting this go. I know that we got this going, but it's okay. We just got this big ass curtain going. That's all I know. So this, where I had it like that, I'm just going to cut this like that. And we'll leave it. What we can do is just tie it a little bit. But yeah, this is like when you do your yarn, and I do things messy style because I don't know, it's just what I do, and I'm trying to think of fun ways of doing stuff, and I'm not trying to make the blanket that everybody cherishes until they die either. So, but anyways, this is the underbelly. I guess if you want to think of this as like gutting a fish, you got to find the underbelly of your thing. You're creating an underbelly. So look around. That's where all your stitches are here because you want to constantly be on the underbelly of this. And it should be a little uniform, but find the one spot because you got to create an underbelly. So that's what we're going to do over here. Like that. Alright. Because we already did that. I probably messed up, but it's okay because we haven't created the underbelly yet. The underbelly takes a little time. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to tie this to that. This. I'm going to tie these together. And I'm going to cut this. We got a nice loose knot. And now we're going to cut that. There's no mistakes to this. We're good now. So you don't gotta worry about a tail end because you're constantly in these other videos worrying about your tail end. There's no tail end this way. You're constantly cutting the tail end and knotting it, I guess, in a sense. So you don't gotta worry about it. And then same thing, you just take this and my first stitch right here, and because you're trying to create an underbelly. There's really not an underbelly, so I'm trying to create one. So you're trying to find that one stitch. This would be the under here. And then you're wrapping. I haven't created my underbelly yet. And I'm pulling off nice. There's another stitch I can grab to make an underbelly. Yeah, you're just making a belly. Just think of it that way. And once it gets longer, you will see where there's an underside and an upside. You really will. Alright, and then I'm coming under and pulling out. But I like to just slide it under and over. Real nice and loose. Okay, go under, around, real nice and loose. Because, I mean, you're going to make little mistakes here and there. Cut that end in there at this end, but this is where it starts getting complicated when you're creating the under. And then you get this here because we want to eventually make this more uniform. And you will. And then you just slide this down. This is what's really good with metal, it slides easily. And then you just take that, slide it over, and out, up, under, out. And then, like I said, you don't have to create any tension because you're just sliding your needles. Don't pull, don't do nothing, just slide them. And you'll get the professional touch to anything. I think these needles are better. Maybe for little kids, the plastic ones are better. But for adults, these metal needles are where it's at. They're nice, they're durable. See, I'm just grabbing actual stitches and trying to find them and go under. And you'll get your own groove. And then I'm sliding under, not pulling at all, and finding the other side of that. I mean, that's literally all I'm doing because you gotta kind of fix your problem, but it really isn't a problem until it gets longer. So that's essentially this at this stage, you're just creating the under part. And you want to always work with the under part. You don't want to work with the because you're stitching from under and going out. That's what knitting is. You're stitching under and going out. It's really all it entails. It's just different ways of going under and out. And I'm just going through it in a loose way so I can make these curtains. But that's what you're in control when it comes to knitting because you can make it tighter, looser, intricate. I mean, this probably would be, even though I started out like a loose knit stitch, I'm doing like every other stitch, so it's kind of like its own universe within itself because I'm actually creating my own little underbelly. And usually that doesn't happen. But this way I find a lot easier or more proficient and I can get this done in an hour. I like to find the underbelly, go in that way, and it's over there. But you'll see it. It's where you could grab it at. And then you just pull it off. And it's easier with these metal things. And you can keep it going. You don't gotta worry about nothing. You keep it going, it's nice. And I think we got these for like $6, $7. Just get the metal ones. I mean, the plastic ones are okay. I got some plastic ones, but these metal ones are good too. Plastic ones, I mean, I'll show you. I got them too, but we're going to do this together, like I said. And I have worked with some plastic ones. I do like the feel of these better, but I will use my plastic ones because I use them. I use all of my stuff, so. Alright, we're going to keep that. Alright, and then go under here because I got to create a little stitch to go over this way. And out that way. And go under and out. And that's all we're doing. And we're getting close to an underbelly. I mean, sometimes you just kind of have to know how to fix your own mistakes too. That's the thing. I mean, I'm not going to sit there and invest my time into a investment and waste my time. So I try to find a way to fix my mistakes as I go along, and sometimes I think of a new way of stitching it or a new use. This, I just really don't care. So because I just literally want this to be a curtain. This is literally going on nobody's body. So I'm okay with what I'm going to get. But this is how it ended up yesterday, where I was getting a little frustrated, and then it started coming together nice. So I'm pretty confident today in showing you this method because I like to practice a little. I'm not trying to be a beginner. I mean, I am a beginner, yes, but I try to practice what I preach here and keep it real with knitting. We Every knitter has their problems starting a project, and project knitting is sometimes the hardest. And this project knitting really is hard. And sometimes things that come out, my mistakes, are things that are useful around my house. So that's how I got the idea for this stream. And I'm going to do a lot of project knitting here because I feel that's the more fun out of all of them. And I sometimes just grab random strings at this point and I'm going under any little string sometimes and just wrapping around and see what I can grab. I mean, if you grab two at the same time, it does tighten up your work of whatever you're trying to get. Sometimes if you do two, sometimes you got to do one and loosen it up as you go along too. It just depends on anything. And one if you could learn to fix your own mistakes, you're golden in knitting. Because you're going to make mistakes. I make got 100,000 in knitting. It's like cooking. You got to know how to fix up your own problems. But these are how I fix my own little problems, like I said. And then as I was making that, I was like, this kind of looks nice. It'd be a nice curtain. It didn't turn out exactly at all like the what I was watching, but it turned into something totally different that I was happier with to begin with. So sometimes that's how life is. Sometimes a couple strings at one time would come off. That just happened. But I go under over this way and scoop off another one, and I was able to repair it and it actually got a better look than what I had. And it kind of looked fancy. And it was all about a mistake. Seeing all these, I'm just kind of making a little tight because I pulled off a lot at one time. And then just pull that out and go under this stitch. And that's really all it is. As long as you're trying to get these off here, you're good. Crazy that sounds. See, I got that halfway done. Go that way, this way, and out that way. Okay, well that's it. And I'm just gonna pull. Try. I'll just go in there and try to pull one over. If the other one comes with you, then so be it. You're just trying to get off that needle with this method. That's it. You gotta do what you can to get it off there. Find an underbelly somewhere and stick it under. Go around and scoop it up. Whatever you could. That's all you're trying to do is scoop up stuff in a random fashion. I mean, we're getting there. We're starting to form something. And you will see it's going to drop down. You really will. I'm trying to make sure that this stays kind of nice so it could go down good. Even though I think this is crap right now, it actually might be good. I don't know. But this is project knitting. Nobody's a perfect knitter. I don't care who you are. You're gonna start a project and you're gonna have issues. Anybody who's done a blanket has issues. I have not done a blanket. I'm trying to not dedicate all my time to a blanket. So that was too tight, so I'm gonna let one of those loose. Because if you just push off a string, you can actually make your row looser. Alright, let me get this out. And then I'm just scooping up here. That way. Alright, there we go. I like to loosen up. I gotta push one off. I gotta push one off. I'm just at this point, I'm just trying to grab something and make an underbelly. And I'm not giving up on the string. I don't give up on anything. I really don't. So this is what I do. And I think of all these new different stuff through all my mistakes. I'm not out to make it. I mean, honestly, I'm thinking about maybe eventually making a blanket, but I'm not out to make a blanket right now, folks. I can't. I really, really can't make a blanket. I don't feel it would be fun for me. I have a lot of blankets. I feel the curtains would be way more useful for my time and effort. And it is fun. And they do look nice. I'm starting one. I'll show you like once I get some of this row down. Like I said, you're gonna, and I don't know, getting this particular little curtain thing down might take me a minute. Might take us a couple streams. This is gonna be the one for my living room. I don't know, I'm thinking blue would be nice and spruce up the black curtains I have. I just want to have it on the top where it just kind of hangs. It looks pretty. That's kind of my goal here. So now we're going to push off on that one because that's just way too. There you go. Yeah, some of them are just getting way too tight. If they're too tight, I just push off one. Just do a push off if it gets too tight. Because if you don't do a push off, if it gets too tight, your whole work is compromised. You don't want that. That's how you keep your tension good. There we go. See that nice little area because you're guys gonna keep making this underbelly. You gotta get at least 5 rows in here. Honestly. I really want these curtains, so. And like I said, I mean, honestly, I know some YouTubers are out to be rich, but honestly, this is just fun to me. It really is. I mean, it would be nice, I guess, if I made a couple bucks along the way, but I honestly just have fun with it. I have fun listening to videos on YouTube, so I'm trying to contribute something I do. And I appreciate YouTube because I wouldn't know how to knit and things if it wasn't for them. So these are little methods I've learned literally from YouTube. I guess if you think about it, see, I just pushed two stitches out because it was too tight. If it wasn't for YouTube, I wouldn't have been able to start this project. I just I learn a different way. So once I learn something, sometimes I just like to share it with somebody, and I'm just sharing a different way I learned it. And as I was making my little mistakes, this is the stitch I found that seemed to be calling to me. And it was this stitch, this messy little stitch. It took me a while to get an underbelly and stuff, but once I got this together, it didn't take a ton of time, and it looked really nice. And I just put them in garbage bags and just have a roll of yarn wrapped around them, you know what I mean? Away from so the animals can't mess with them or anything. See, like that one's a little tight, so I just literally did that. I want to keep them, I want to go back to loose, so this is all I have to do to make this loose again. And I had to do this with my last one. And see, now there's a stitch I can go under with. Until this sucker gets longer, you're going to be dealing with this. See this? Here's a nice underbelly here. You'll even see once you start playing around with this. Which ones you gotta pull off. Like that one. I would like that a little bit more room. I'm pushing off stitches at certain points because I noticed that I got too tight in some areas. But that's all you do is push off a stitch. Because, I mean, you guys are adults. Anybody listening to me probably is interested in it, but people listen to me, this says yarn project, so I'm giving you the actual yarn project. I'm not sitting there telling you this how you do this stitch and that stitch. I'm not your teacher. I'm just a person literally doing a yarn project, and that's it. And I'm showing you how I'm getting through my yarn project, and I literally have to listen to the YouTubers that are more experienced at yarning than me. So as the mistakes I'm going along and making, see, I'm just literally trying to find the underbelly because I got to keep creating this knit stitch. Even if you push off the stitch, you got to keep creating the knit stitch. That's the thing. So push off a stitch as you're making more knit stitches. If it gets too tight, and then you can save your piece because you will lose it and it will not be good. It's like that. I can have a little more room there. See? And then this stitch right under it will become way more looser. And there you go. Like I said, I don't want this one to get too tight. So I'm going to go under here, pull out this a little bit. Because we're on this back end here. We're about ready to do another row. So we're going to go like this. Up and under. Out. Up and under. Sometimes I like to make this back side just a little more tighter because when you're going from needle to needle, sometimes you just want to secure the last little bit. just so things don't be falling apart on you. And then when you look, and it's gonna look like a mangled mess. Trust me, but you gotta find the underside. The underside looks like that. Like I said, like a centipede, the bottom of a centipede. We're gonna go do that. Look at that. Look at the bottom of the centipede. It's like, you know how they have all the little legs here? That's the way I like to think of it. Because it's hard to find sometimes. It's there. You just kind of gotta find it and put it together. Sometimes it's so twisted, you gotta find it and twist it a little better. But believe me, it's there. See, I find the this here, the baseline here, and maybe even just do it a little at a time. Because you are going to get a natural baseline. You will. I promise you, it's going to be a natural baseline. But I think this needs to get a little teeny bit longer. But I'm trying to find the baseline down here. Alright, we're just going to have to work with what we have here and create more of a baseline down this way. Because we're still in the infancy of this project. Alright, we're going to go under that way. And over here. And under here. I'm just going to have to be more uniform with these stitches to try to get a little bit better here. You gotta be real careful with this underbelly. We're gonna release the right stitch and pull up. There you go. You just go, try to do one stitch at a time and keep it loose. So I'm trying to go over this way, and under and out that way, like that. Alright, and just kind of try to be careful that you're grabbing one stitch. Like that. Alright. Go under and out this way. This way and out. And like I said, you're just making a base, so don't get discouraged. Sometimes if your piece is kind of like messy like this, it's okay. It just takes you a couple times, a couple rows and bringing it down to fix it. And all this is usable. I'm just going up, sliding under, and coming out. With this end, when you're trying to create a base, make sure you're going one stitch at a time. That's the thing with that. So we're going to go under here. I'm trying to make us a base. You go under, pull over, and out. And you should be creating a base over here. Because we want to start creating a perfect base. Because this is going to be a lot. You're going to be doing this for a minute. And just do the same thing there. Like that. Alright, I think I did not get that, and that's okay. Drop stitch, start over. And pull that under up and over that way. There you go. See, base work can be very tedious, but it will come in and you'll be able to drop down better. And that's all I'm doing is creating that nice little base. But you got multiple stitch opportunities, like for tight ones, loose ones. And some you want to keep loose, some you don't. Well, that's essentially what you're doing is you're looking for that perfect knit stitch. And then I'm just sliding under, going over, and then coming out the side. And then I got a nice base here. You can see this starting to drop now. And you're always trying to go under a stitch, not over. You're going under these. I'm going to go under just this one so I don't, and then pull out a little this way. And then come around under and over and pull out. Same thing with that. Alright, we're going under. Go around like this. And out like that. Alright. And go around. And we go under. Alright. And then I just sometimes push one off if I think it's getting tight. Because I'm not starting over. You invest too much hours involved with this. I try to make sure I gotta space it like that much. Then I'll grab the next stitch and then pull over and come that way. But with this, I want to make sure I'm either taking one off or casting one on. I'm not trying to leave a bunch on there. Alright, I'm going under here, grabbing this one because it's nice and loose, going under the yarn and pulling out. I still got a good distance, so I'm okay still. And then I'm going to go out like this. I still got a good distance. And like I said, it's very tedious. But it's okay. The yarn's supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be a race. It's supposed to be something you do that's fun. Alright, I found this, creating my base, so you always got to make sure you're going like this. And then I'm going to put this under this way. I'm just finding them and looping them. Just find some stitches and loop them. That's your whole purpose. And try to just do one string when you're creating a base. Because you want just one string. You don't want multiple in the belly of your project. I make sure I have this much so I have a belly eventually. And then I pull this way. And we're just trying to make some kind of because you could tell here where I'm getting all my, you could tell where I'm getting my stitches, where I could cast on a lot better. And this just repairing some of the yarn work around you, really. Think about it. That's all I can do. Alright, I'm gonna wrap this here. I'm gonna go under this way, grab this amount. There we go. Because I'm making a curtain, I want to make sure I have interlooping loops that are nice. So that's too tight, so we're going to throw off that stitch right there. That's going to be a problem. And if it's that, that's okay. And then I want to make these long again. Because as you're redoing this, you're redoing the tension. Where it was too tight, throw off a stitch. Like this is kind of tight for me. Throwing off a stitch. Now you're creating which was something that wasn't there. And then we're just pulling out. There you go. You feel like you want a little more tension. There. Or less tension, just pull off a stitch. And you could do that with multiple stitches. Because you want to just be casting on a single one. So if you got to push off a tight one here and there, that's okay. See, I just pushed one off. I'm going to go under this one in particular. Go around this one, come out that one. I'm going to do the same thing right here. Gotta create that belly. You don't create the belly, you got problems. And you're wrapping and coming around here. Alright. And we're wrapping and coming around here. Push that off. Okay, that one's tight too. So that's unnecessary. That's gonna ruin us. That one there. And that one there is gonna ruin us. Okay. See those stitches that are just unnecessary? We're just gonna push them off. Push them off to Alcatraz. Where all the famous gangsters went. Bye-bye. It's not our problem. Alright, then we're going to come off this way. Okay, that's a little bit tight, so we're going to cast them off too. And we're not worried about knitting these guys. There we go. And now we're going to wrap this stitch. Sometimes you got to let a stitch go. Trying to get it the way you want it. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. Sometimes some stitches are like this is too tight. So we're going to do this. Cast that one over. Pull this one through. There you go. That one a little bit too tight. And I'm just going to get rid of all of this like that. Alright. Now this one I think you can save. Because you want this to come down long. You don't want this to be all tight. I had this problem yesterday. Creating my belly with all these. And this is how I fixed it. And we're just going up, over, and out, and that way. Now this is starting to get tight again, so I'm gonna throw this off the ship, throwing that off the ship. I'm gonna keep this on the ship. There we go. This is better on the ship. Let me see about this. That could go off the ship. Alright, we're just gonna throw it off with the other needle. This is kind of tight. That could go off the ship. And this can go off the ship. This could stay on the ship. And it's okay. Throw those edges right off that ship that aren't doing good for us. See, this is way too tight, this baby here. It could go off the ship. Now this one, I think this one will do. Yeah, sometimes you gotta throw some away, but you're doing it for a good cause because it's gonna give it a unique pattern. And this is what you want, a unique pattern to your curtain. I should have put part 1 on this, but I didn't. Alright. And then just go out this way. Alright, we're throwing this off the bridge. That was way too tight. Throwing that off. Okay, much better. Alright. Let's see how you do. Just throwing this stuff off the bridge. I mean, you just literally cast on a bunch, but you'll see how nice of a pattern this eventually will get. Once it starts dropping down, you're going to see the belly. Just getting this damn belly is annoying. And it takes forever. That's why I'm streaming it. So you could see, and then you can see to not get frustrated if you decide to make one. And that one I'm going to throw off. And this one I'm going to throw off the bridge. And that one I'm going to keep. I was actually going to put this, probably this one in particular, I'm going to put it on my lamp. I think it would look nice on my lamp. Alright, this is pretty big, so I'm going to keep that one. The ones that got too tight, I'm throwing off the bridge, honestly. Because if they got too big, they would just look better with our little curtain thing. And that's okay. But like I said, this does not have to be uniform. The more mistakes you make, the better. Like, this is too tight, these two. So this is going to be a part of the tapestry. And then I'm going to have this. It actually adds to the unique look of your curtain. And then you pull this out a little bit. Because if you have to, you can pull through a stitch. Like if it's tight. I'm going to throw that one off the bridge. And then pull on this stitch. And then you could pull on the stitches that you didn't throw off the bridge. And just come up and over this way. And I'm going to throw this over the bridge. I don't know what happened with this stitch, but I don't want it. Okay, this one was good. So when you throw them off the bridge, you're just giving them a new life, a new look. And you want some parts, some loops bigger and some loops smaller as you're doing your yarn thing. Because it's like the messiness adds to the lore of it. Those two I'm throwing off the bridge. This one I will keep. and cast this on to make a different loop arrangement. Because that's all you're pretty much doing. You're making an arrangement of loops. Some are big, some are small. Alright, that one's getting thrown off the bridge. That one's staying. Because I think I put too many, and that's okay. Well, I'm still trying to get my underbelly going, so I'm just creating. Instead of worrying about this and that, I'm just creating things. Alright, this one I'm throwing over the bridge. And these I'm going to throw off the bridge because it's coming in too tight. And then, I mean, you could start with, you could lose stitches as you're going along, and this could be just fine. That's going to get too tight. Okay, this one is going to be too tight. You just got to throw off one stitch at a time. Or in this case, this whole area. If you got one area that's too tight, throw it off and make a new stitch. Alright, this one, I'm going under here. We're getting there. Alright, now this one, we gotta pull up this here. Okay, this is too tight. Okay, this one's good. Anywhere where there's a loop where you could go and make a knit stitch is really what you want to do. And take up and cast and scoop out. This one can go right to the curtain. And that one can go under here. And this one will throw it together with. And I'm just taking off multiple stitches with this because I feel like this would be more of a trail. And you'll see them. The more that it looks like that would be prettier draped down. And you'll get your own thing going. You really will. You're going to go, okay. But as you're creating these trails, you're going to see the belly of it. And like I said, people love this stuff for presents too. They really, truly do. I'm going to get rid of these. Throw them off. So I'm really trying not to have the integrity of this thing messed up because I wanted it loose. Alright, we're throwing off that stitch and that stitch and going with this one. Sometimes you're just throwing off stitches just to make the end of this a little messier and more fun. And that's okay, because that is literally what you want with this tile of a stitch. Okay, we're going to throw all this off. Alright, I'm going to throw off that stitch because it's too tight. And grab this. And then I gotta grab something under and pull it over. So with my knit stitch, I'm pulling up this, pushing off this. And then I'm going to knit stitch this. You're kind of deciding, you're controlling your material, what you want to keep or no keep, what you want to trail down longer, shorter. It's all choices in this matter. It really is. Alright, we're just gonna leave it like that. Because we can always cut certain areas too. And it does look crazy at first. But you start with a bunch of them, and sometimes, it takes a little bit of a process. But look, we got an underbelly now. This is what I'm talking about. See right here. See, I got a full underbelly, and you can see it's coming down. These you can always cut and shape later. I cut and shaped mine and knotted mine later. Don't ruin the integrity of your whole outfit over something simple. Now with this, I'm going under a little bit like that. And I'm coming around and I'm trying to get more of a knit stitch now. Because I actually made an underbelly. So, and with this you can actually do a little bit more. And now with the second one, since I have a lot of them spaced out where I want it, I'm doing the same thing, sliding out and under. Because now we're actually starting to make this. And we want this hanging, so you are just dealing with these stitches. The stitches that don't matter, just push them off because we can always fix them later. And it's okay. Because you're doing this for fun and decorating reasons. You're not creating a nuclear bomb. You got to remember this. This is supposed to be fun and purposeful, not, oh, I'm just going to make you a blanket. I mean, I think these curtains are cute as hell, and I really like this stitch. I really do, and I like it in this fashion. And I'm so excited about putting this over my lamp. Because I have this lamp that looks just downright terrible. So, alright, I'm just going to pull that. I'm going to go under this stitch all together, cast around, come down. Make sure you're sliding down, because when you get to this point, you want to start having this drop better. So you want to slide in. It's like go this way, especially once you get the body done. And then go this way. You shouldn't be pulling at all. You should just be sliding at this point. You go under, around, and out this way, and over that way. And that way. Going over, around this needle. And out here. See how I'm doing that? Alright, now this one. I'm not sure about that one. It's really not casting nice, so we're just going to let that one go also. Alright, I'm going to get in here because it was two of them at once, and I don't want two at once. And make sure they stay in position. So you can scoop under that one. We don't want anything that has two strings at once you're bringing over. You want to throw those overboard. Just leave them all the way overboard. And then this way, we got that one. And try as many of these as you can with the knit stitch because we want to start creating a proper belly. And we are. Every time it drops a little, you're creating a proper belly. Alright, now we want to send that overboard. And we want to send this overboard because these are not going to make us a proper stitch. This will. Because when you cast over, you want to try to make a knit stitch. And if you are not trying to make, it's not allowing you to make a single knit stitch, send that. Send that overboard. Okay, this is, we're not going to get a proper knit stitch with that either. We're sending that overboard. This we can get a knit stitch with. As long as it's over and you're able to do this, you can get a knit stitch with it. If it's not doing all that, send that overboard. Goodbye. Alright. Okay, this we're sending it overboard because it's going to make it too tight. We don't want it tight. We want that loose as a goose. Alright, we're going to make a knit stitch with the other one to keep that loose. Sending that overboard because we're going to make it too tight. Bring it out like this way, that way, up and over, loose as a goose. That's over, and that's over. And take this, put that overboard. Alright, this I'm able to put my needles in a circle, so we're gonna make this into a knit stitch. Take that around, same thing here. So you can start out with a bunch of them and start your project. And you're going to have an underbelly because the ones that you're having problems with, you're sending overboard. When you send these overboard, you're getting rid of the clutter, which means you can have a better piece. And you can always shape it later because you got yarn needles. Yarn needles and knots are wonderful. They really are. I don't know what I would do without a yarn needle, personally. I just take it and sometimes pull these out to make sure I would have a good stitch with good proximity. I'm taking these by the belly and pulling. And if I can't pull them, they're way too tight of a stitch, so they go overboard. That's how I'm making this. So this way there's really no mistake because if you don't have proper stitch, you're going to fix all that up later. All that's getting fixed up later. But you're not wasting all your time. Okay, that one I feel is going to make the material too tight. We're going to try this one. And we're going to get rid of that stitch. And this one's going to stay behind that you pull over this way. And we're going to go that way. And that way. And over. Because really this is how it's going to look when it's done. Is how you put it together, how you intertwined it. It's kind of like a spider web. I mean, I know everybody's scared of spiders, but this is, I guess, how they would web things. You know, they got intricate things and ways of webbing. So, I guess if you're part spider, this would be the perfect method for you. Okay, that one's way too much tension. over and out right here. So we want to keep that stitch because it's actually a good one. That one too tight. We want that one out of here. This one we could pull out nice. Yeah, if they're going to be too tight and stuff, you just want to get rid of them. It's going to cause you problems. That one, too tight. Alright, we're going to use that one. And you're going to end up eventually with less stitches. Like this one is going to make the material too tight. This one I could pull out in a nice loose circle, so we're going to keep it. Keep the other one going. Alright, we'll pull that out. And that way. And this way. And out to that way. And that way. And that way. And pull out and come out this way. And do the same thing here. And like I said, pull out those stitches that are causing you problems because it's okay. It's like throwing away things in the refrigerator. That way, up this way, out that way, and in that way. And out here, over here, over here. Alright, I'm going to throw this one overboard because I'm not liking it. I'm going to throw that one overboard and keep this one. Because I feel like they're just making it worse over here. Alright, I threw off 2 stitches. Alright, we're just wrapping it this way. There you go, that way. I'm going to push off that stitch around this way. Push that out. Push this here. I guess you're figuring out which ones you're keeping. You're always trying to get your base going more evenly. And you might start out with a really bad base where you don't have a good underbelly, but when you do this process like this, you're going to find that you're going to grow it and your problems you're going to take right out. Because that's what you're doing. You're simplifying this where you went wrong and getting rid of that stitch too tight. That stitch is too tight. This stitch is salvageable. So anything you did too tight just adds to the curtain. So it's okay. That, not so great. That, nah. This, maybe. Alright. Well, that's all you're doing. You're executing what's salvageable and not salvageable. It's like cleaning your refrigerator. I mean, that's how I think of this. And you just you're thinking you're getting a beautiful curtain out of this at the end of the day. Because this doesn't, you could soak it, it's just decorative purely, and it looks good on a lamp or an altar or something like that, or just your curtain. So be a good altar curtain. You know, people that have spiritual altars with like this. It's kind of hippie looking. I like hippie stuff. I think it's very exciting. Because you want to especially be able to stitch your last stitch. That's why you're constantly going through stitches. I'm like at that. It should look like it's hanging like a curtain. These we're going to cut. These I might just start cutting a little. I want to cut this. That would be bad. That would be really bad. I get this. Okay, you can see that. Okay. Well, anyways, this is like this. So what I'm doing, this is my end where the yarn's attached. I'm going to put that way. Alright, do that. That's why I said we're going to be cleaning this up as you go along. I'm going to make it all one length. So whatever stitches you have and you need to throw some out or whatever, it's okay. Well, this is what's happening, is this. That's it. And that's the end of it, but we're growing this longer as we go along. And we're not worrying about that. This could be messy. And now we're in the underbelly of the ocean right here. See how that is nice? Now we can really start, because you want to get it to this point where you can save the project and go back to later also. Real fun. And literally, you're always working with your longest end. So any end in this, cut it. Just cut it and be done with it. And you're always, when you're in this underbelly, you're always going under. You're diving under, going this way, and then you're just coming up that way. Just like that. That's why we want this underbelly so bad. But out of a bunch of craziness, you created your own underbelly. And then you go this way. Like that. Because you want to just slide this over and grow this. There's your point here. Out, under, and over. Out, under, and over. That's why you want this to hang, because you're going in on the side and out. And if you can't get there, then you just gotta throw a stitch down and shape it out. Just the way I guess it has to be to get to your lamp thing. You've seen everything I went through just to get a belly. Sometimes it's like that. And then we go all the way in there like this. And you see each layer gets better. It really does. Because this was more of your workable stuff. And you see where it's going in nice. And if it's not, your next row, you just try to make it a little better. Just cut it. And this, I could perfectly go under now and pull out and go that way. Up, out, and that way. Up, out, and that way. And go like that, and out, that, and out like that. And literally this is what you do, and it's repetitive. But I'm going through every ounce of this with you so you can see when you're doing a actual project, it's not all fun and glory. Sometimes just try and get to a certain level. For me to say, oh, just do this, you're going to be suffering for your first project. You've seen everything we got to looking, having a good belly. Well, depending on the belly of your project, you could be have a problem. So I'm trying to be there so you don't have any problems. And literally, this is just going to be for my lampshade because animals got to my lampshade. It's not that nice, so I ended up making a little altar out of it. And it looks good and kind of hippie, so I figure if I hang this off of my lamp, it would be fun. And you wouldn't be able to see where the animals messed up my lampshade because I'm not trying to buy another one. It's just a waste of money, and I'm not upset because it wasn't like it was a special lampshade here. It was a lampshade, all the same. Like I said, I got yarn, I got yarn needles. It shouldn't take you 100 years to make something all the time. But we're just going to keep going around here like this. And I'm going to stay with you until you can get a place where you can pause it, and we'll work on this again tomorrow together. But sometimes you got to keep going till there's a time where you can pause it. And you can't pause your project till you get a good belly. You really can't. And all the stitches I had to throw off and all that. And you got to have a good drop off. And sometimes it takes a minute. Like it took us, what, I think an hour? I think that says an hour. But yeah, it takes an hour or two. Sometimes you get a good underbelly. But once you get that good underbelly, you can like work on it in your spare time and different things. But we're gonna go with this. I'm going to keep this going like this. I was kind of saving these. I had started some without you guys on my bigger brads because I had those for I was gonna maybe have for another project. So I was gonna show you that. But if I figure if I do one with you with these, because these are really nice. These are, I think, my nicest knitting ones I have. I like how you can move in and out on these. And they're very nice. So I kind of chose these to actually, like, for the self help one part of it. And it's good. I threw two off already, the two off of Alcatraz, because I'm trying to make this more organized. When this should be totally organized before you're done. Even if you go put it in a little bag and stuff, this has to be organized. It really does. I'm trying to organize all these rows. This one we're going to get rid of. Over here is good. I just feel like that's unorganized and it's going to cause trouble. I like to start with more stitches and then go down less stitches because you could actually start your work better and then you can, with this kind of stitch, you're kind of learning from your mistakes, and it's if it's a little tight it's okay. It's kind of adding to the integrity of the yarn curtain, or it could be anything, I guess, tablecloth, whatever you choose it to be. I mean, it's up to you. All right, this one's going overboard and that one's going overboard. And this one out here like that. That's going overboard. This one's staying. It's just a constant of what's staying and going. And the ones you throw overboard just kind of leave a long part, which is good because it adds to the lacy look. Alright, I threw that one overboard because I just thought it was too busy of a stitch. That one I'm saving because it's my last one on the row. It's kind of like cleaning out your closet, really, when you go through these stitches. The ones you keep or don't keep. See? I mean, we got that. We're coming down. I'm going to stay with you guys till I really, really got to pee. And we get this to come down a little. And then on the next stream, I'll do my live taping of the book for the one chapter. But I'm going to eat and do that in a little bit. Alright. Alright, we're going to go right here under this way. Go around here. And cast off this. And keep these stitches, your underbelly, right there. We're just going to push it off. And then you do the same thing with the next one. Right there. There we go. Out here. Out here. Yeah, I'm gonna sit here with you guys probably another hour. We'll have this together where you'll be able to see where it's the end looks a little frayed, but I want the end to look frayed because I'll show you how pretty it looks when we're done. Then show you the other one I'm working on that I was practicing on. Alright, we're gonna throw this out. Alright, I'm gonna go under here. Alright, I'm gonna go this way. I'm going under this stitch. Anything that's not going to fit well with my stitch, I'm just throwing overboard. Each and every one. There we go. under and over, just like that. Throwing that one overboard because it's a little tight. But I mean, you can start out with 40 stitches and end up with 20, and that's okay. You start out with more, it just gives you more integrity to everything. Because you want the frayed, it gives you frayed edges. I like the frayed look. I really do. I think it looks nice. And over that way. And where are we at? Okay. Alright, there we go. Grab that one. That's a nice one. I'm going to pull that one out. Pull that all the way out. You always gotta make sure this underbelly has enough good stitches for you. And that one could go that way, because that's gonna cause me problems. And you just pull out and do a perfect knit stitch, just like this. Oh, to the one person watching, I started my live taping with how I cast it off and did my slip knot and everything, and we are making lace curtains. And what I'm doing is I'm showing you from beginning to end. And the beginning part, we've already taped, and I can't go backwards. And I don't have a good phone, like I said. So this is the easiest way for me to tape my projects. But these are I'm taping my own personal projects. So if they could be a use. I'm throwing this off and like that because you want that underbelly to be nice. You really do. You can't have it looking crazy. And it has to be functional. See, that's too tight, so we're going to get rid of that. What's that? Okay, that's a good one. If it's too tight and it's going to cause you too much tension, just throw it out. Because then your underbelly will be better. Especially when you're making these lace curtains, it doesn't matter. Okay, that one's going to be too tight, so we're going to throw this out. That one's going to be okay. Because it just adds to the curtain. It really does. Like that is going to make it too tight. Alright. I like to, because you want to lay these out. You want these to come out nice and loose. You do not want your lace curtains being tight. I like mine super loose, and I believe that gives it a good layered lace look. That one's too tight. I'm going to pull that one out that way, because we do not want them too tight. We want it to be nice. And I guess it could be okay. And right now it's going to be for my lamb, like I was saying earlier. But I'm working on this because when I stop, I want it to be hanging a little and looking somewhat presentable. You don't want to go back on work because when you're working on a project, it's a work in progress. You don't want it all messed up to where you got to restitch and things. But yeah, I make sure that this is going out that far. I do not like when they're just not that far because it could have been a too tight of a thing. We're going to throw this one overboard. I feel this whole piece would be better if there was less pieces like that. Okay, this going under, we're wrapping that there and putting that there. And I made a bigger piece. Because I'm not a little kid. But look, I'm always doing this. And then you're just going under where these knots are, right here, and going under this way. Because this is how you want, and you want your curtains to be hanging down. So, because this is how you're getting your width of everything. With this, I could pull. Do that. And then you'll get all the true stitches. Because sometimes when you cast on, you get them the too tight ones or the ones you had one too many. It kind of takes out that when you do this kind of fixing up. Like, I'm going to throw this out into the work. So this drops down and has more length. Because you're just, the looser you're giving it length. That's all you're doing. You're going like that, going under like that, and going under and up. And then that's too tight, so we're going to get rid of that. We want length. And then we're going to grab that. Then we're going to wrap this, bring that there, and bring that here. We're going to get rid of this, get rid of that, and we'll keep that. Some things are unnecessary. Extra stitches sometimes can get in your way, but if you want to make something like this, you want length. And it's good to have length. And you know when it's getting longer and you got to keep pulling out yarn. Okay, I'm going to wrap this around the back and grab this one here to make the knit stitch. This is this far apart, so I'm doing good. I don't have to get rid of stitches yet. See? Go like that. Wrap this over around here and take it under to make a knit stitch this way. And we got one last knit stitch, so we're doing good. See, you had a tangled mess, and now you got this. And it's coming down nice. And I'm noticing these little pieces I can cut like that. Just make sure you don't cut the tail. I like to put that aside. And then just take these frayed ends that kind of like that, and you're doing that. And we're just throwing these away. We're not worrying about that little other tail, the ugly tail. I mean, that's okay. This is all we're doing. This is what we're concerned about is right here. And you want to keep this down because this part is always going up this way. You don't have to worry about switching up your needle. You're just cutting this. That's it. All right. And then just make sure you give yourself enough leeway here. And then we're going under in here. You're just going up and up. That's even attached. Oh, that's not even attached. Okay, we're going under this way. Because you want to cast onto this one now. And you're just wrapping and under, creating that knit stitch. And pulling out. That's it. And at this point, you should know where your main stitches are because you kind of got rid of the ones that were too tight. So you know where your main stuff is. I've pushed out probably 40 stitches. So you know the main ones. And you will find it and you will get your groove together and everything with it. So, and you'll see which way you want to do it too. To me, I find this easier to do while it's hanging and sliding up and over. Because I rather just gently slide it over. To me, this is what's easier. To you, might be something else. Entirely, I don't know. But I guess it just depends on you as a person. Once you get your groove going, you just keep going, and you can push when all your stitches are reliable and usable, you can just go from tip to tip and pull it out. And you just go under there, under that tip, pull it out, and make a perfect knit stitch. You're just scooping up. You're going around, scooping out under this way, and going like that. And this is all you're doing. And then once you get a unified routine like this, you could be watching TV, and you could even do this while you're doing anything really, because it's the same thing, repetitive motion all day. That's it. Out that way. I like to keep them both flat like this because I want to go under, around, and I just like to lightly just go in there and pull it out. Just like that. Because you got problems if you do it any other. If I do it any other way, if you do another way, it might be nicer. But for me, I get problems. And sometimes it gets rough. So just do that. But yeah, I'm just dropping down now. And you're gonna see how pretty this is gonna going from a clumped mess to pretty. And it is a little bit of work, but honestly, if you have little patience or you're just had a stressful day at work or something, it's gonna really help you unwind. And once you get it to a pivotal point where we're gonna get it at after an hour or two, you can just work on it for 15, 20 minutes a day to make it how long you want or short you want. And then before you know it, you're looking forward to coming home and finishing your curtain, your lacy curtain. Because by that time a bill came up. Bills always come up. But that bill comes up and you pay your bill and you go, I'm just going to work on my curtains. I just want to be left alone. So that's what I do. I just want to work on this. I just want to be left alone. The big bill's paid. And once you literally have your yarn and stuff, you don't really have any, it doesn't cost anything except for a thing of yarn. And a lot of times, like I said, it's real cheap or someone can give it to you. 9 times out of 10, people give it to you. You can find it for a couple bucks. And scissors are pretty cheap. It's virtually one of the cheapest things you can do for entertainment. It's just too much out there. Everything's too expensive. And I hate to see everybody spending all kinds of money that they don't have. This is what happens. Mm-hmm. Just pull that around like that. And I'm starting to get a nice ridge on these curtains. See, I'm using them as curtains. I guess you can use as a tablecloth or something if you wanted to. That's a possibility. But really, this is just a real loose knit stitch that I think looks nice for doilies and this and that. I think this is the nice knitted version of a doily. And I think doilies are very pretty, so I think they make good curtains. But that's just one knitter's opinion. It really is. Other people find different things interesting, so. And I'm not going to have doilies all over my house, but I do think they're really pretty. I sometimes use them from other things. So I guess these are almost like kind of like yarn doilies. And go up here, there. And go that way, the last stitch. There. Alright. That's very nice. And if you pull this out so far, about there. See, it kind of looks like the small little thing is going to just keep dropping down. And I'll show you the other one I'm working on my own. Because I kind of just don't work on one and all my practice ones. Alright, here's one of my practice ones. And I started working on two. That's this one. Right here. Let me just see if that's the other practice one I'm doing. This is gonna be nice. This is for a glass. I mean, I don't know what this is. I could make this to shawl or something, but this is another little project I'm starting on. That I'm probably gonna fall through on that. And I started, and this is all my practice for trying to make these damn curtains. So this one is bigger ones too, but this is a little bit smaller. And I got this on this. This is probably going to be with my table cloths. So I got this one going a tighter stitch. So and then I got this one I started. I mean, I just started bits and pieces of plate. That's what I do. Until I get these down a little, you know. This one's a little bigger, these sticks, and they're all plastic. I mean, they're usable. I'm not against it. I'll use it. This one's sort of the same thing. This is like a sheer one for my lamp. I just want to get this a little bit longer. Got that one going. But I start these two and using them when I find a purpose, you know. I have little samples. And then I have a little place I put them. But like I said, I'm really hungry, and since there's really no one watching this right now, I'm going to put these back in where I have these. And a little bit later, I'll probably work on this one a little bit more. Because I kind of want to get this down more. And then if you've seen it earlier, like like I said, these are all live tapings. All of these are literally just live tapings because my phone isn't that good. So later I'm gonna go on and it's gonna be yarn lacy curtains part 2. I guess we're gonna go with. I mean, I don't know what else to do with about that, but and then if you missed the first part, you can always listen because they'll release it by tomorrow. So, but I'm gonna go ahead and grab something to eat and stuff. Chong, would you please leave my stuff alone? And we'll finish out the blue yarn curtains because we still got some work on these to do. And I will talk to you guys later. And thank you for listening. If you peek through or whatever, and I'll be on later. We'll work on this more because I'm going through this whole project with you guys. So, and I hope everybody's safe out there and is having a good day.